Guys, welcome back to the Flyin podcast. I'm here tonight with a full cast. We got Sam and Zach after an awesome week of FC Cincinnati games, news, and just good times. So guys, how are we feeling tonight? Sam, what about you?
Yeah, feeling good. Nice to see two of our guys get on the team match day for the MLS, both Lucho and Barrial, in their respective games. So nice to see that. And nice to see that. I mean, I would have liked 6 points, but 4 points is fine as well.
Yeah, I would say coming off my little hiatus of missing last week and the previous weeks, it's nice to come back and we're back on track. I think we're getting our composure back after that crazy month of kind of off soccer, some soccer. I don't know, it's just kind of a weird break. So I'm glad that we're back on track and hopefully get these final points for the Shield.
I think like back on track is the best way to describe like the fact that like we didn't have games like all throughout July that like mattered for the MLS season. Then we had this craziness with the Leagues Cup. Then we finally get back and we had some up and down results for FC. And then we take another week off for international break. I feel like that kind of messed up the mojo of the guys. I'm looking back at our record and, we lost to Orlando. We tied 2 games in a row. So we'll kind of jump into the Montreal game, which we saw on Wednesday night. FC Cincinnati played in Montreal in a tough environment up there, even though it was a midweek game. They had a pretty decent crowd. You could kind of hear them during the broadcast. But guys, what a crazy up and down game overall. Sam, what'd you think of the lineups and kind of the first half of that game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought obviously we dominated every part of the stat sheet. You look at everything from corners to possession to passes to whatever, we dominated it. And I think looking at the game overall, I think we were a couple finish that was away from it being a 2-1, 3-1 victory instead of a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. You said we had an XG of, was it 225, 2.25, and that's completely underperforming if you look at the score sheet, obviously. So I think really it was a 45-minute game because that first half was just kind of want to forget it, to be honest. It was not good soccer. I think that was the one where was it Arias had that literally open header goal and just totally shanked it, and he
Yeah,
had a wide open shot,
like the
and I think that
20th
was,
minute.
yeah, I think that was our only opportunity where we actually did something there. So I think rough seeing the offense not click in the final third. That was tough to see. But we'll speak a little bit more on that later.
Yeah, both good points from you guys. I look at the lineup and I like to kind of touch on like who do we unveil, like who comes out in a midweek game, especially having like Wednesday and then a Saturday. We end up having our typical lineup: Celentano in goal, Barrial. We have I believe Murphy, Mascara, and or actually no, Mascara was out for this game. Miazga was in,
Yeah,
Hagelin,
he was out. Yeah.
Arias, normal midfield, Moreno, Obi, Bupenza, Vasquez, and Acosta. And I felt like, kind of to your guys' point, like this was a big game for me where I was again kind of going down the trend of like, is our offense really as good as we think it is? Is Bupenza getting involved like he should be? It just kind of felt out of sorts in that first half. Like you said, Zach, we created chances. As you referenced, Arias had a wide open header from a corner kick in about the 15th to 20th minute, I believe. Moreno has a shot from outside the box that just goes over. So we create some decent chances, but as a neutral watcher, let's say you're, looking at this game, it was just not pretty to start out the game. It was kind of back and forth. We're trying to find our footing. We looked a little bit sluggish at times. And to be honest with you, like going into the 53rd minute, Montreal ends up getting a goal. Opoku by them makes a run where, again, kind of to what we pointed out last week, Sam, no one really steps on the guy. I think Miazga is kind of right in that line of vision there, but the midfield kind of has a disconnect with the back line and no one steps. and the guy just fires in a shot past Roman. Did you feel like Roman could have done better there, Sam?
Yeah, I mean, to your point that you just said, I mean, that's 2 weeks in a row that Miazga doesn't step very well to a shot outside the box, right? And it's just, you got to do more. I understand it was kind of a lackadaisical effort from Nwobodo. Honestly, surprised that he didn't get a card there. He could have caught like his ankle there and probably could have gotten a card. But yeah, I thought, maybe even Celentano, like you said, it was kind of weird that he didn't save that. Looks like he had a really late reaction to it. And even when they show the replay from, the player's standpoint, like there wasn't really too much blocking his vision. So maybe it was hit harder than he thought, or, I'm not really sure, but yeah, he just didn't get a good break on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's weird. It seems like, I mean, like you said, both of you, how nobody's really stepping up on shots outside the box. When you said that, it kind of occurred to me as like, yeah, they're not really good at doing that for some reason. Like, it seems like, are they just behind or way on the other side of the ball, or are we goal side? I don't know. I haven't been paying attention enough, but when you said that, I was like, yeah, nobody's really stepping up on those deep shots like that. So I think it's kind of strange for Celentano to miss that, and maybe they're doing that because maybe Celentano is good at blocking shots from a distance, but that one was just kind of he just fluke. I don't know, but I think the whole situation was unfortunate for Miazga because I think he had the command and he should have spoken up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as the vocal leader in the back and like a guy that keeps people accountable, like we're mentioning 2 games in a row, he kind of slacked in that sense. To your point, Zach, on we're kind of seeing a trend maybe in a way. I don't know if they're trying to like mark their guys better and maybe they just lose focus on like normally Obi and Moreno fill that space behind or I guess in front of the back line where they kind of are a stopgap and they don't allow guys to really create chances or even to get shots off. Are they now marking more forwards and then they're drawn away from that so the guys have more space? I don't know. It seemed to just be a disconnect again. And thankfully it wasn't carried over into the Charlotte game. And we see a much better defense overall, even, without Miazga. Maybe that was kind of maybe why, I don't know. Yeah, it was interesting. I was in the moment very, very disappointed at the result. I'm looking at Montreal as like kind of a fringe team. And to be honest with you, they were playing with a lot of gut, a lot of heart. They were, again, right on the cusp of making a playoff line to where they needed to get a result and they were pushing. They hadn't gotten, many good games in a row or unfortunate results in some ways. So, for me, they were pushing harder than we were. They kind of seemed to want it more, at least in the first 90 minutes. Honestly, the whole until we equalize, until we get that goal. It just kind of felt like we were too lackadaisical and didn't necessarily want it. And from a team that leads the MLS, like I would want to see more in that sense.
Yeah, I think going into that latter part of the second half, I mean, we have a chance with RES. We have a 3-on-2 RES leading the way on the right-hand side. And then
good shout.
Ball in the middle to Vasquez should be a one shot right there. And Vasquez just chokes, takes way too long. I think once again, it was one of those chances where I think the ball just got under his feet and he just tried to do something with it. And you could clearly see the frustration of Bupenza there on the other side of the field. I'm not sure Bupenza likes playing with Vasquez right now. That's the feeling I'm getting when I'm watching them on the field.
I mean, yeah, it seems like that the front, I think it's more of a front two and not a front three. It seems like also just, I mean, language barrier. I think Ryan and I had spoken about this a little bit, how they just hired, I think, a translator or something. So I think being able to now communicate effectively to him and actually direct him where he should be going, I think it might play out better. But yeah, I mean, it was nice being on the good side of the PK late game like that and not losing the win. I think we got really lucky. Their goalie was, I mean, he was doing pretty good for the most of the night, so he kind of choked at the end there. But
I want to make a couple points on that too. Like, there's a few things that happen building up to this PK. All right. Number one, we have two opportunities towards the end that kind of Sam referenced to, similar to the first half. Arias is coming down the right side, could have easily played a ball across to Bupenza. Maybe because he thinks Bupenza's offside all the time. That's why he's not playing him the ball. But like,
good point.
dude is wide open. There's still shots online. Like, go look at like Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. There's videos and like stills of him being wide open in the middle that the guys don't play the ball across. And I don't know if it's a lack of confidence, if it's a language barrier. I don't care what language it is. Like, this is the universal sign for play me the ball. So like, see that or like wave or do something, because he was wide open in the middle. We had those chances. So that's my first point. Second point is, leading up to this PK, it's the 90 something minute. I'm like, we're losing to Montreal. This is ridiculous. Like, we should be beating this team. And you see Miazga get a yellow card. He actually goes in on a challenge on a corner kick with the goalie, where he kind of goes in a little bit late into the guy. The guy kind of embellishes it a little bit. The refs nowadays in the MLS are made to like protect the goalkeeper, right? Let's be honest. I don't know if it's a yellow card worthy offense, but Miazga now gets his yellow. He's pissed because he's out of the next game because of yellow card accumulation. But he's kind of like instigating like some stuff, and getting underneath the keeper's skin. What happens just 5 minutes after that? The keeper goes to try to clear a ball from Barrial, who plays this deep ball to Baji, and the keeper gets too aggressive and knocks him down. It's a PK. Did Miazga kind of draw that PK in some ways? I don't know. Did he get under their skin? Because Arias gets into it right before that as well.
Yeah, based off of the next game's result, I would take the yellow card for that, leading to a PK. But yeah, very, very interesting. Always Miazga trying to get under people's skin. I thought specifically on that play, if you want to talk about that play on Baji, like what is their keeper doing? Like what, like
misjudged.
Does Miazga really get into his head that much that he was like, I'm gonna go get the ball. Doesn't even go for the ball.
Yeah.
And just runs into Baji. Like, it was very weird play. It was almost
he was like holding the ball up. He's not even facing the
us.
goal, and the guy hits him in the box.
You can't forget that he was at the 18 when that ball was why
at the top of the box. Yeah. What is he doing? Yeah, I had no idea what he was doing there, but I'm not mad about it. We end up getting a PK.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it.
And look who steps up to take it. I mean, our knight in shining armor, right? A guy that apparently had been playing through pain for 45 minutes. He sustained like a heel injury. I think like early on in the second half, he apparently had been, I wouldn't say dogging it, but like Lucho wasn't looking like 100% himself. He gets an opportunity and just, let's talk about his PK, just buries it, just full of confidence, and like goes over to the Montreal crowd and does the, like, we had this the whole time sort of thing. Like, just love when that happens. Because like 2 minutes prior, they were probably like freaking out. But I just love to see, I mean, how many PKs in a row has he scored now? I think it was a trivia question like a couple weeks ago. I think it's been 6 or 7 PKs in a row he's made. Knock on wood. I'm knocking on wood here. You guys better knock on wood that he continues that up, but it's been just a solid run, from him from the spot.
Yeah. Fun facts coming from this game. I saw that FC Cincinnati are actually unbeaten in midweek regular season matches under Pat Noonan, posting a 6-0-5 record on Tuesdays or Wednesdays.
Wow. Haven't lost yet midweek?
In regular season games, regular season MLS regular season.
Wow. Well, and I guess if you want to point back to, I guess I was going to say Open Cup would have been the same until we just lost to Miami a couple weeks ago.
No, yeah, that's why
regular season.
Yeah, good call. Good clarification. But we end up getting that goal in the 90 something minute. We had 14 shots. We had 54 possession. looking at the score and looking at how the game was, like doesn't quite line up with the stats, but a tie is a tie. A point is a point. It's one more point towards our goal. And all year long, we'll keep saying it. Tie on the road, win at home. And that's what their thing has been like all year. So
yeah, something else that was interesting about this game was, the fact that we let up the first goal again, right? And I was doing some digging again, and FC Cincinnati have allowed the first goal in 8 of their last 9 MLS matches.
wow.
And their record is still 4-2-3 in those games.
You take us back to 3 years ago, and that is not the same. Even 2 years ago.
0-9. 0-9.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, we wouldn't have won a single. We wouldn't even probably have scored a goal. So, I mean, that's huge. That's just confidence, and that's players with experience.
Yeah, that's fight. That's fight. That's what that is. So
That's
I appreciate
Coach
it
of the Year.
as a fan has been watching.
Yeah, Zach, I like that shout. Pat Noonan, Coach of the Year. That stat right there alone should kind of tell people, like, look at how the team has been in the second half of the year, maybe not playing at their best to start, and then still fighting.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, I think the depth and subs is what helps out on that for sure.
100%. I mean, we had talked about it last week on like just the fact that, sorry, my chair just slid down. Just last week on how we were talking about the depth. I mean, you're right, Zach. We didn't even bring in Santos the last 2 games, and I think that may have helped us in some ways, but we've had experienced players, like even guys that are like new, like Angulo, like coming in, or Pinto really hasn't even gotten in, but they don't need to come in every game. We have other people to kind of give roles to at certain moments, and I think that's been really awesome. So kind of turning our attention then to our second game. We played Charlotte at home on Saturday. Got an amazing 3-0 win. Zach, would you attest that was probably top 3, top 5 like FC games that I've been to? It was pretty incredible.
Yeah, that was unreal of a match. Like I would say top 3 for sure. I mean, you got Lucho signing just right, a new extension, and then he comes in and just absolutely demolishes with man of the match. I mean, I think we dominated the game full 90 plus. It seemed like the scoreline probably should have been 6 or 7-0, as you and I talked to the gentleman in line for our our season ticket gifts. I mean, the excitement around Lucho is just so cool from all the fans in the stadium. Like everybody was just
you
shouting
could feel
his name.
the hype built like before the game. They showed his contract video, and I get chills every time I watch it. I've watched it probably like 15 times already, but when he like says he's here to stay and he signs the camera, like just chills. So to your point, like everyone kind of builds on that, and they even had asked Pat Noonan, Chris Albright, and I'll kind of get into this later on, but how like that is going to spark the team. So stay tuned to that. I'm going to touch on that here in a little bit, but we roll into this game with, I think, pretty good confidence that like we're playing at home again. We got a solid crowd. We end up getting Mascara back, but we lose Miazga. So flip-flop those 2 from your lineup, but everyone else is the same. So there's good continuity over the course of a couple days. We came out of that game without really any injuries, except for Lucho was kind of nursing a little bit of an injury, but he didn't show it. You're right, Zach. I mean, what was it? The 15th minute, the ball gets played into the box. He tries to take one touch over the defender and sets himself up to try to do a bicycle kick and actually does pretty dang well. The keeper makes a pretty good save on it. Just incredible effort by Lucho. Unbelievable.
Everybody was in shock. Like,
I never
and
heard
all.
anyone cheer like as loud as they did for a saved like shot. Like it was insane. Because just the audacity to even do it, I think for people maybe that have never even been to an FC game or a soccer game in general, to see somebody try to do that is pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I like the fact that he even tries to do that. I I mean, could have gone down as one of the best, FC goals. Luckily, we got to see probably the best later on in the game. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Charlotte's goalkeeper. Like he made one of his 5 saves right then and there, that he would be having to make all night. And so if it wasn't for him, I mean, once again, like Zach said, we might have won 6-7-0.
Do you think that was a Lucho saying like "hold my beer" or like he sees Barrial's like nomination for FIFA World like Goal of the Year and was like I can top that.
Oh,
I
they
can do
were
better.
talking crap to each other. You know it.
So we get that, and then I think shortly after Lucho plays a ball through to Vasquez. He's 1-on-1 with the keeper. Again, the keeper just makes a save on it. I don't think it's a great shot by any means by Vasquez. He's got to do better, and we'll keep kind of harping on that. Were you going to make a point with that, Sam?
Two things on that. So great ball, obviously, by Lucho. He sets everybody up. Like Vasquez, he seems so disinterested to have the ball at his feet.
Mm.
And it was way too casual, which I don't know if it was the fact that, once again, he just wanted to be casual and put it away like it was nothing, or part of me is giving him the benefit of the doubt and thinking maybe he thought he was offside.
You still got to put it away, man. You gotta be better with it.
I can see him when he makes that shot, though. You can see him look to the sideline to see where the ref was, and obviously there's no flag, and I can see him kind of like get frustrated about it. So I don't know if that had something to do with it.
We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. You're the striker like that, and everyone else is kind of starting to build in confidence. And like prior to the last couple games, he had gone on a run of how many games in a row had he scored, or I think it was like maybe 5 out of 6
3 out of
games
the last 5.
Yeah, 3 out of the last 5 or something like that. So he's kind of dipped in his form a little bit, but I think he'll bring it back up. Speaking on like the next play that happens, at least for us that I remember, specifically for what happens with or it wasn't Baji, it was Bupenza. Zach, do you remember this play where
oh my god, that was like a pinball machine.
Oh my gosh,
that ball
just around, and
so
the ball falls to him kind of right in front of the goal, because I think I think Vasquez actually gets a touch on it.
Yeah,
Lucho
it was
plays
Vasquez.
the ball across.
Couldn't
Vasquez
handle
gets
it.
a touch.
Yeah.
He can't handle it. Classic. So then it pops out to Boop right at like, I don't know, the penalty spot. And I look over at Zach after this play and I said, he passed the ball in, just rip it. Like he's got such a good left foot. He tries to pass it in and the guy slides through and saves it. So I'm thinking at that point, hey, we've had 3 solid opportunities that have been either saved or just blown. Like this would be the most Cincinnati thing ever if Charlotte goes down and like ends up scoring to take the lead. Like I was just about to be so upset.
I mean, to be fair, go ahead, Zach.
I was just gonna say, I thought you were talking about the other one. There's too many to count this match, honestly. I mean, go ahead, Sam.
Zach, are you talking about the first one where it goes off Bupenza's head?
Yeah, like literally a foot from the goal line.
He's wide open in front of goal. Yeah, I forgot about that
5th minute. Yeah.
I was like, how do you? I mean, I guess it was like a rocket to him, but like,
it just went off his head. Like he didn't even. Yeah.
It just felt like it was going to be one of those nights of like, we're going to create chances, but we're not going to score from them. So
I mean, credit to the Charlotte like defender though, like sliding in, right place, right time. Like
that's about the only credit he gets for the whole game, but
behind the goalie, even.
That's true.
Yeah. So finally we're into like the 44th, 45th minute, and I'm like, all right, something's going to happen here. So we get a foul at the top of the box, which I think Lucho actually draws the foul by one of their tall defenders. He kind of megged this guy like 3 different times during the match. He kind of like splits the guy, goes around him, and the dude pulls him back. And, we see the guys line up. Barrial's way out wide to the left. And I look over at Zach and I said, Barrial's about to rip this thing. And I don't know if you remember this. You go front post or back post. And I said, front post, he's going to rip it in. And I called it, man. I'm going to take credit for that.
I think you said, or like right side, bottom corner.
Yeah. And I guess he went top corner instead of the bottom corner, but He hits the side netting. Like unbelievable free kick from I think what about 23, 25 yards out. One
Yeah.
of the better free kicks you'll see. I mean, me and you had a really good vantage point of it. Like at first you're seeing the wall line up and you see like, okay, the keeper's way off to his right trying to set up the wall. And I'm like, is he going to get back into the goal for it or not? And then he rips it. So the interesting thing about it, this was right before the half. We score and the keeper all of a sudden is just super upset about something. And everyone was confused within the whole stadium about what was going on. I think we go back and we look at a replay and we see maybe Mourinho is close to their wall, but like isn't impeding their wall. You're not allowed to have technically an attacker within the wall. And then they try to like complain about that. It's like, okay, when you were setting it up, why didn't you say anything if that was an issue? So,
It was
and
a
then
very delayed complaint for sure.
it
Like
was,
I
that
was
was my
very
thing.
much confused myself. Like
Yeah.
a score, the goal scored, and then he kind of like looks around and he's like, wait a minute, like let me complain about something. Like that's how it felt to me. But yeah,
Yeah.
what an absolute banger. Like the spin that he puts on the ball, the bend is that left foot's just magical.
Bend it like Barrial, baby.
You could, I mean, it was a pretty good distance out too. Like you got to respect the distance that and like pace that he put on it. I mean,
Messi
really,
who?
like yeah, as soon as it left his foot, you're like, dude, that thing is in. Like I felt like I was standing before it went in the back of the net. Like that thing was
Yeah.
unreal.
So that leads up to a 1-0 lead at half. And then Zach, I don't know if you want to give an honorable, shout out for Jersey Swap of the Week. Your wife was pretty happy about what happened at halftime.
What happened at halftime? I'm trying to think. What?
It had something to do with some music that was played.
Oh yeah, I forgot. So it's Hispanic is it Hispanic Heritage Month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They ended up playing mariachi music at halftime. So
It was incredible.
it was amazing. Like both musicians killed it. Like amazing voices. They were I can't remember, it's like Cielito something,
Mm-hmm.
and then I can't remember what the other one was, but yeah, full on mariachi music. Loved it.
It was pretty funny to see. And like you go off of that halftime into the second half, we roll into the 50th minute and we just get the perfect connection finally between Lucho and Bupenza. Lucho beats the guy down the line, takes it all the way down, stops on a dime, cuts back. How many times have we seen him do that on his right foot? Plays it perfectly for Bupenza just to rip it, but actually does pretty well. And I think it's underrated on how he places it. To Zach's kind of mentioned, the guy we were standing in line with after the game says, that's kind of a difficult shot to put in. He puts it right over the defender into the corner. It was a no doubter at that point.
I have a different take on that. I honestly, from my standpoint, like just watching the highlights, it looks like he takes the hardest shot available, in my opinion. I think there could have been room on the left-hand side to just put it in the left-hand corner, but he decides to finish it over top of a defender in the right-hand corner.
I just wanted to show everyone
great finish without a doubt, but like maybe a little bit easier next time.
Yeah. Very good point, Sam, because I know dang well that I probably would have skied that in my week games.
Yeah, I'm glad that he did put it away and he needed that for confidence. They both like go and hug right away. Love to see that maybe that connection is improving. I wanted to kind of real quickly point on, I was getting a little frustrated with Bupenza throughout the match. I personally think that he tries to be too fancy sometimes up top. And at one point, Zach, do you remember this? We're over by our sideline and they play a ball up. And instead of just bringing it down and settling it, playing to the midfield, Bupenza tries to like back heel it through and he loses it like easily. And Pat's just like, hold the ball up. You're a striker. Like, get it back to our players. Like, don't try to be fancy. So I feel like he needs to just like find his moments to make some flashes. And like, he does it a little bit too frequently right now. I don't know if that's a way for him to get into the game more or to like, I don't know what it is, but I'm glad that he scores that goal to give him maybe some more confidence. He just needs to be more clinical in that area, because right now you have one striker trying to be too fancy and the other one that can't hold up the ball because his touch is terrible. So it's kind of frustrating. And I just want somebody just to be able to bring it down, play it to our guys, spin off, run in. Like, it's easy. And the other point I wanted to make too is the two of them play very far apart. You guys have heard me say this before. When you have two strikers, you need to play together. And I don't know if it was a tactic by Pat to kind of spread the defense out. You have two strikers on opposite sides and Lucho that kind of floats around wherever. So they have to keep track of all three of them. But when one ball is played into Vasquez, he doesn't really have anyone around him, or vice versa with Bupenza. There's no one really there to support him. So I just would love to see them kind of be more coordinated on when they're making their runs, where, and then they need to be more in sync together.
Yeah. I think, speaking of Lucho, though, 78th minute, maybe the greatest goal in FC Cincinnati history. Just wow. Like, that's all I could say. But obviously, you guys were at the game. So give me a little, Zach, give me what you thought first.
Well, I mean, so I was like, okay, it's just a breakaway. Like we had, is it? Well, it was like 5 Montreal to like 3 FC players, but as he broke 2 people down, it quickly became 3-on-3 or 3-on-2 or something like that. But I was like, there's no way he's going to take this all the way. Like, this is not going to happen. And then I saw, was it both that or no? Who was subbed out at that point? The two strikers.
Baggio was in with Bupenza.
Okay, those two wide open. I'm like, pass the ball, Lucho. Are you going to pass it? Get rid of it. And then he stopped, took his little cut that he always did, and then cut back and ripped it. I was like, he did not just do that. Ryan and I just like put our hands on our heads, just like, holy shit. I think we just saw the most amazing goal in person.
I lost it more than any goal I've ever seen, like even more than Barrial's, because Barrial's was so fast. Like the one earlier in the year where he hits it off the fly in the corner. When you see him beat one guy, two guy, he starts at half field, he's running down, and you're like, oh no, he's not about to do this. Oh no. And you know, in his head, he was like, I just beat those two. I am going for this. He was not passing that ball at all. He even says it in his interview afterwards. He says, I was going for a Golazos. So you knew it was about to happen, but I stood up as soon as he beat the two guys. He goes down, like you mentioned, cuts in, cuts back out, and just puts it in the corner. And you're just like, oh my gosh, that was messy. Like, it's a reference to his goal, you know, that he had for Barcelona earlier on in his career. He takes on those guys from half. I even made a split video of it. Check out our socials on that. You can see it kind of a side by side on both runs. And it just reminded me of that. I have more to talk about this later, actually, because it was just such an incredible moment. And that's Lucho's MVP moment right there. That is the moment that he clinches it, in my opinion.
Mucho Lucho. That was beautiful. And the fact you were talking about, you know, he wanted that golazo. Literally, the Spanish broadcast started saying golazo like as soon as he entered the second half of the field.
Hadn't even shot the ball yet and was saying it.
Yeah, the announcers were
hilarious.
The announcers were great, both Spanish and English. I thought that it gave me chills when I was listening to it when I got home.
Sam, speaking on Golazos, you might have a trivia question for us.
Yeah, I do. So before we head into the break here, wanted to give a quick trivia question of the week. Kind of goes off of what happened in the game, but wanted to ask you guys, it feels like it happens a lot. So how many free kicks has Barrial scored in his FC Cincinnati career?
All right, I'm going to answer
start with
this
Ryan
one.
And then we'll go to Zach.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 4.
I'm
going to go with 4.
I'll go 5.
5
on the high end.
Right,
yeah.
So we got 4 and 5. All right. I guess you guys will see what the answer is here at the end of the episode. For now, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Shout out to Peak Cocktails as well.
So Agility is a technology-driven soccer training facility. So we offer 6 facets of training. That would be Tech Touch with ball launchers that work on your first touch, the TSZ, which is the ESA equipment and working on decision making. We also have a circuit. Circuit training would be taking the ESA equipment to the next level. It's kind of like a soccer obstacle course. Then we offer neuroscience training with our reflection tools, working on processing things a little bit faster, hand-eye coordination and such. We offer skills classes, which is your typical core skills training. Lots of people still enjoy that, so we work on a lot of attacking 1v1 skills. And then we also offer athlete development. So our athletes come here and they work on speed, agility, quickness, explosive movements, really just learning how to move and function a little bit better as an athlete.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for listening to our sponsor. We were just chatting about a solid week for FC Cincinnati. Just an incredible game against Charlotte on Saturday. It was just insane goals, back and forth action. More on our side, I guess, like on the offensive part of things. I wanted to follow up real quickly from last week for those who watched the podcast. We chatted a little bit on rules of the EAFC. I wanted to give an answer. We had somebody answer this question for us. The answer for how many players you can play with on the field based on getting red cards or yellows, then reds, is 7. So thanks for the person who responded to that. Sam had called it. Sounds like he's been in the books a couple times playing to know that answer.
No, stop. No.
But
I play
I'm glad
fair.
I
I
know
play
that
fair.
now.
Clean. Come on.
So let's get into, let's continue the card of the week trend. Sam, what was your card of the week?
So I know yours last week was more MLS. I thought I'd go the same route with this one, but for my card of the week, I saw a little controversy on Twitter with Real Salt Lake. They played Whitecaps over the weekend, posted the lineup, and it did not include Jefferson Savarino, who has played in 22 matches, 6 goals, 3 assists so far, doing pretty well. And someone in the comments asked, why no Severino? The team replies, due to a personal situation, and he'll be back on Monday. That's fine. Then you see Severino quote tweets their response, asking what personal situation and adding Real Salt Lake. So I did some digging, and apparently he's been rumored to be joining Brazilian side Palmeiras via the Palmeiras fans, though. Those are the only people that are rumoring it, because they absolutely lit up Twitter. And this transfer could happen solely because the fans want it to.
What? That is such a mystery.
Thank you, Elon Musk, for that.
Yeah, it was such a bizarre situation that I was reading into, because then you look at the comments of his tweet and it's just Palermo's fans just do like, oh my gosh, so funny.
I love that.
Even the players like, what personal situation? Like, what?
Yeah.
That's funny. Zach, what was your card of the week?
Awesome. Mine's a soft yellow. So just the season ticket holder gift situation is what I'm going to say. So we got an email, Ryan and I don't even know when that was. Was that last week maybe? And
about a week ago.
It mentioned kind of in some small print, you can come pick up your gift over in the plaza right outside before you go down the big set of stairs. So post game, we walk over there and find an absolutely massive line. Like this line, it was doing wraps, Sam. Like it was wrapping around, like squirreling around labyrinth. You didn't even know where it ended. So we ended up finding it. Lo and behold, it seemed like it would have taken an hour, and this was at 10 p.m. at night. So you're like, oh gosh, we really don't want to sit through this and wait. Thankfully, though, I mean, they said that you could get them in the last 3 home games, but still, it's probably going to be the same the next couple games. But it ended up only taking maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
It wasn't as bad as we thought, but it was still like why do we have to wait to go pick up our gift for like our season ticket? Like, why not just ship it like you always have, or like come to the whenever to the gift shop or whatever team shop
store?
yeah, team store. It's like what's going on here? Like, why are we doing this? I just thought it was a weird situation.
It's a little peculiar. I mean, they gave us an opportunity earlier on in the season, I think about maybe 2-3 weeks ago, to go pick it up from Rheingeist, but it was at like 7 to 9 on a Tuesday or something like that, which was kind of interesting and was very limited availability. So Zach and I are thinking, oh, we can just walk outside and go grab our, gifts real quick and get out of here. And it's like lines of people, which would kind of be interesting for people. And I'm sure there was an FC representative clearing it up. Like, we thought people were just walking up like, oh, free gifts. Like, let's go.
Yeah, because they were just on skids, just sitting out there, Sam.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like you could just walk up and grab one. Anybody.
Yeah, but they did have tables. They did ask for your name and everything. But like, yeah, I'm Mr. Smith. I'll take mine. Like,
You think anybody grabbed any?
no, I don't think so. They did a pretty decent job at holding people back, I think. But
Yeah. Ryan, how about you? That was your card.
My card of the week is kind of a live card of the week. I need everyone in FC Cincinnati land who's listening early in the morning today before this vote ends. Lucho, Acosta, and Alvaro Barrial are up for goal of the week right now in the MLS. They're going against one guy, I'm going to just say, because the other guy is not getting any votes. This St. Louis City player who's playing in his first game scored his first goal. I mean, pretty decent goal, but like, Barrial has a unbelievable free kick, and Lucho probably scores the goal of the year. So, yellow card to this St. Louis player for getting all these votes, because Lucho deserves goal of the year, and he's not even going to win goal of the match day. So it's going to be really funny when he wins goal of the year for this. Sam, is this funny to you?
For those of you listening on the podcast, I need you to pause the podcast and go watch the YouTube channel right now. This man just pulled an actual card out from.
I brought my cards with me tonight because it was that bad. Okay. So that was worthy of a card, and we need to all vote to make sure that he gets goal of the week and subsequently goal of the year. So I'm just going to put that out there. I got my yellow. I thought about making it a red too, because that's just messed up.
Might be red worthy.
Yeah. Vamos, Estados Unidos. That's what the card says on the back for those who are listening.
Shout out American Outlaws.
Yes. Sam, on the flip side, what was your jersey swap of the week?
Love the flip side. So the jersey swap of the week goes to the free kick guy that we were talking about earlier, Mr. Barrial himself. Once again, what a magical left foot this man has. Like, as much crap as I give him for not having a right foot, the left foot, like, it almost makes up for the fact that he doesn't have a right foot. Like, it really does. It's that good. But I was more surprised on how much we're actually going through him. We know we go through Lucho a lot, but if you take a look at the stats, these last two games, he led the team in both games with 154 total touches in 2 games. He had 88 against Montreal and 66 against Charlotte.
Wow. As a left back.
Incredible. As a left back. And then I also want to give him a shout out, because we were talking about this earlier. He's also getting some Argentina buzz as well from the national team. Some Argentina scouts are starting to show up to the FC games. And so he has a little bit of history. I believe he's played for the U20s a little bit. And then in the 2018 COTIF tournament, he actually made 5 appearances. All of them were starts, scored 2 goals, and Argentina won that tournament. So let's get Barrial onto the Argentina national team.
Can we vote for that, Sam?
I wish. We can make some phone calls and send some letters.
I'm sure our letters would go very far, but incredible.
I don't know if
like,
they translate very well. But.
Yeah. To your point from earlier on in the podcast, he makes the match day of the week for the midweek games as well, which I think is probably about his 4th or 5th this year. I don't know specifically on that, but he's up there with, I think, Lucho and Obi and maybe Miazga for the most amount, like from our team.
They don't
For
call
sure.
him an all-star for no reason.
Yeah, his value is only skyrocketing. Sam, it's north of 2 million. I'm sorry to break what you had texted us about earlier. I think it's for sure like 7 or 8, if not close to 10 at this point.
Yeah, what I think you said, transfer market's always a little behind. So
Yeah.
I think we were talking north of 10 as well. So
Did you sell him for 2 million on FIFA? Is that what you got?
I just remember the last time I checked on transfer market, I thought it
I'm
was
just
2 or 3.
kidding.
You are greedy, Sam.
I'm lowballing.
Zach, what was your jersey swap of the week?
I'm gonna go with Ian Murphy. I think he really stepped up this past week because he had to obviously have 2 starts, played full 90s on both, no yellow cards in either. I thought he stayed pretty disciplined throughout. He looked really good on the ball against Charlotte. Anytime he had the ball, he was comfortable. He really distributed pretty well. A lot of improvement, and I think really he's going to be hopefully maybe a starter next season. There's going to be a lot of competition, but obviously between Hagelin and him. So I think Ian Murphy's going to step it up, and I think you're going to really see a lot of growth over the off season to see him kind of kick off the year next year playing well.
That's a good shout. I mean, I love to hear that, especially in like a week where, we give up 1 total goal. You don't have your typical back line. You've had to see, Murphy play with different guys next to him for 2 different games. And you're right, just plays really well. I'm feeling more and more confident about his form going into a playoff situation as well. And to your point for winning out a starting job for next year, he still kind of reminds me of a roller coaster with some of his decisions here, but he's only in his 2nd year of play in the MLS. So he's going to kind of write those things out as long as he has experienced guys next to him. Will be interesting to see if he does end up getting a spot, though, who's his left back next to him. Because, I think we all can agree that Barrial is probably not going to end up being with us next year at whatever point. So I think he benefits a lot from having a guy that he's built a good rapport with, but great shout for Ian Murphy.
Yeah. Ryan, who was your jersey swap?
Guys, this man, I just can't stop having him as my jersey swap of the week. He just probably had his best week of his life. Luciano Acosta was my jersey swap. I think I'm going to get his name on my jersey this year when he becomes MVP. He's up to 15 goals and 12 assists. He had 2 goals on the week and 1 assist. Gets his new contract, as we had mentioned. Guy had probably the best all-time quote through a translator I've ever seen, so I'm going to shout this out. Doesn't speak great English, so he makes this quote. They ask him, by the time you're done with this contract, Lucho, you'll be 33. And he goes, man, I don't want to think about being 33, which is relevant. I'm almost 30. I don't want to think about that. But then he's basically saying I'm like fine wine. I get better with age. So I think that was probably the best quote I could have heard from the whole press conference. He's very confident in himself, and there's going to be no let up. You saw in this game, it could have been very easy for him to just stop and just say, hey, I got this money and I'm satisfied. But he comes out with an injury in this game and just dominates. Tries a bicycle kick, does a goal from midfield where he dribbles players and creates. I mean, what more could you ask for our number 10, our captain? Build the statue, whatever you want it to be. I don't want it to be the celebration he had for his goal, though. That was a Ronaldo celebration. I want it to be a unique Lucho one. For those who aren't watching on YouTube or I guess on Spotify listening, but Sam just kind of showed us what he prefers with his arms out, which I agree. But just unbelievable player.
Yeah, I mean, undeniable. It's going to be real unfortunate if he is an MVP, because right now he does lead in goal contributions, I think, with 27 now. And just, wow, what a player, carrying FC on his back, with passion, with heart. Definitely the type of player that the city deserves to have. Especially a guy who was with us the past, 2-3 seasons, right? Not having the greatest of MLS starts, and he's been a part of that, been through the downs, and now he's the one leading us, up in the upwards trajectory. So yeah, obviously put him in the rafters, give him a statue, anything he wants.
It would have been one thing just to lead us to where we are, but to take us, like you said, from where we were to where we are now is just a testament to see through this tough time. And really, I think it's really built his ability to be a captain. I think we could talk about early on in his FC career, very cocky, very much a selfish player, but has learned to become a role model for players like Barrial, players like, Pinto and Gulo in the midfield who maybe are wanting to be like him someday. Like, we've seen this full like character arc of Lucho, and I'm just ready for this MVP moment. It's just going to be incredible.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. The fact that his character has changed dramatically from when he was at DC to now, and like the fact that he wants to be here now, like he could have easily taken a fat pay increase somewhere else, but he wants to stay, and that warms my heart. It's just exciting to have like a player, like an actual good player that wants to stay. Usually Cincinnati's not that lucky. I mean, we got Joe Burrow, but hey, you guys get what I mean.
Yeah, on a Monday night where he's about to play, we'll see how he does. But between him possibly being an MVP candidate sometime in his career, Lucho, I mean, we have some awesome guys, but I think you're right. A guy that has shown that he wants to be here, has said publicly, this is where I want to be. I've been welcomed here more than anywhere else in my career. That is, again, like just probably the best thing to hear from your captain. So,
I mean, the man took an ad out of the entire Cincinnati Enquirer, a full page to tell the fans like, hey, thanks for being with us this season. Like, we're not done yet. Like, let's go get it. Like, I love it.
Speaking on going and getting it, let's talk about our next game. You like that transition, Sam?
Not bad.
We play Toronto this coming Saturday for probably the biggest game in FC Cincinnati history, just based on what it could mean. For those who aren't familiar, FC Cincinnati leads the MLS Supporters Shield, meaning we have the most points of any team in the league, which we can kind of get into in future episodes, but is just an impressive mark for where we've been at all year. This game against Toronto could signify a Supporters Shield clinching win, which is just incredible to think about. If we win hardware, we win a trophy, we win back, our pride in the city. Like, just incredible. If that happens, I wish it was at home. But I'm going to take it because, hey, I'm hoping we pull this out. Toronto's last place. We don't want to overlook them. We'll come out probably with our strongest lineup. You'll see, because all of our guys are back. It's going to be a cool moment.
I am so thankful that, once again, like you said, I wish it was at home, but the fact that it's against Toronto, do we remember the Gaddis versus Bernadeschi headbutt game?
Yes.
We won that game 3-0, and there was so much animosity in that game, especially with later in the game, and Cena was getting a little irritable as well. The Italians were getting a little irritable, if you remember. But yeah, I think obviously you'd rather clinch at home. What I think is very interesting about this game is the fact that there has been no draws in the history between these two teams. So I'd like us to just win it and keep moving on. Like, all right, cool. We won the Supporter Shield. Like, let's keep going. Let's get into the playoffs. Let's set a record possibly if we win out. And let's get an MLS Cup as well.
Yeah, to your point, we are, I believe, 12 points away from having the most of all time in the MLS. So we have to win our last 4 games. to reach that mark, which, like we've been talking about, would be impressive. At this point, I'm going to take every game one step at a time, but that's Pat's mentality all year. So I'm going to just stick with what he's done and his staff. Props to them. Just unbelievable. So Zach, any thoughts about any of what we're chatting on?
Yeah, you know what I hate more than anything is the word clinched. I think on the other hand is it's going to be easy win. I think we've got it. Worst
Knock
home
on wood,
record.
bro. Knock on wood.
Worst home record. They've got Toronto. I think this is going to be a DC end of the season game like last year. I think we're going to come out. We're going to just give them everything we got, basically, and kind of seal it in the first half, hold it in the second, make it easy. Easy win. Did beat. There caveats. They did beat Philadelphia Union 3-1. So but that was like a couple weeks ago. I think that was probably before the international break. But I think they have a few people injured. So I think they're kind of looking like a hospital right now. But hey, we'll get through it.
Zach, score prediction number 1. Number 2, I forget what I was going to say. Let's just hear your score prediction.
I'm saying 4-0.
4-0. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. Do you guys think a Vasquez hat trick is incoming? A good moment to get his confidence up.
I think he'll score, but I don't think hat trick.
Sam's looking at me like you're crazy.
Yeah, sorry, no hat trick. But I'll probably go with 2-0.
2-0? 3-0. I'm going to say 3-0.
4-3-2, baby. Let's go.
I think we do it, and we come back home for, I think, a Red Bulls game. Second last home game of the year would be a good time to celebrate that, to kind of give us some time to focus on the rest of the year into the playoffs.
So if we have 4 games left and we need to win all 4, are we? Let's predict. Are we winning all 4, or which ones are we losing? Because we have Toronto, then we have New York, then we play Miami, and then the last game of the season is against Atlanta at TQL.
I think we lose Miami just because if by then we clinch Supporters Shield, you maybe play one more game with your starters, then you give them a little bit of a break. So then Miami away in like 100 degrees. You're not going to maybe want to play Lucho or play some of the big guys down there. It'd be such a like big moment for them to miss playing like their idol again, but they have to understand the situation. And at that point, if you can give yourself like a week or two, not necessarily off, but like from playing in that environment, but then you have Atlanta at home to kind of build your way into Supporters or into the MLS Cup, I should say, the playoffs, then I feel like that's a game that I would point to on the road where maybe he doesn't play the guys as much, and I could see us potentially losing that one.
Do we have a schedule of the MLS playoff games? Is it like a week or 2 after, or is it?
It's immediately after, but we have a bye, so we'll have at least a week.
We play the wild card.
So, and being a home seed, for those who aren't familiar, we get to host every game as a home game. It is a best of 3 series, I believe Zach and I were looking at. So we'll have a full preview on what the playoffs look like and, the matchups and stuff like that as we get closer. But that's something to kind of start thinking about. And to Sam's point on, do we go for it? Do we go for the record? I'm kind of torn. I feel like he's been wanting to like continue it and, try our best at every game, but maybe he looks realistically at like some situations like that.
I think you have to, especially missing out on 2 other opportunities to win a trophy with the US Open Cup and the Leagues Cup. I think you have to set a record. You have to, obviously you'll probably get 1 silverware. But once again, we'll talk about this next week about, the importance of the different silverwares, but yeah, I think you have to go with the record.
Different silverwares. Are you talking about the spoon versus the fork?
I was gonna say FCC's known for their records.
More of a sport kind of guy, but that's all right.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's gonna be a fun time for sure in the next month. Let's just get through this next game. Guys, any last final thoughts here from this episode?
Other
No,
than,
I just hope we don't concede first.
well, then that screws our score predictions, of course.
I hate the stat that I said earlier. Like it sucks. 8 out of the last 9 games. Are you serious?
Yeah, good point. One thing to kind of look at, and we'll probably talk about it after next episode. We are now 13-1-1 at home. We are 1 win away from tying the home record for the MLS. So 2 wins possibly sets us over that bar for another record, which would just be pretty special to have. So, Sam, give us our trivia answer.
Yeah. So trivia question of the week was, how many free kicks has Barreal scored in his FC Cincinnati career? Ryan went with 4. Zach one-upped him by going 5. Gentlemen, the answer was 3.
Whoa.
Of course it was.
He had 1 in 2019, right? So that near post goal
Against
was
Chicago.
his very first one, and then he's had 2 this season. The first being against NYCFC, and then this game.
I felt like
there
he
was
had
way
way
more.
more. Yeah.
I know. I didn't like it when I was researching. I was like, no way, he has 3. Like, it feels like he has so much more.
I have to go back and look at what his like EAFC like free kick like metric is at, but it should be pretty high.
Oh yeah, you'll give us that stat for sure.
Stay tuned to next episode for that stat. But thanks for everyone.
Oh, hey, also, hold on. Also, I just looked it up. His transfer market value on transfer market is 4.5.
Bumped up. They were listening to us.
It's not 10 though.
All right, guys. Well, we'll close it out here. Thanks again for everyone who listened this week. Again, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We're on all of them. So find us, seek us out. We'll probably be chatting hopefully with some silverware next week, boys. Let's get a supporter shield.